It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. So it looked like there's news coming out of Cleveland that trading Shedeur might be the worst thing the Browns could do. We finna talk about this article, man. For this one here, we got to go all the way up to Cleveland. Let's get it. Let's go. There is another battle that is set to take place in the city of Cleveland that is involving superstar quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Now, Shedeur Sanders fans, the real Shedeur Sanders fans, will not be mad if he be traded from the Browns. Hell, even myself, I'm going to be very happy. I mean, running through the house happy if he get traded for the Browns. But that news has not been broken, so we got to deal with.
What if the Cleveland Browns are about to make the single biggest mistake of their entire rebuild, and they don't even know it yet? Think about that for a second. A young quarterback, raw talent, real flashes, a fan base that finally had something to believe in again. And now, trade rumors. In May, before a single regular season snap. This is the Shedeur Sanders story. And it's getting complicated fast. Let's go back to where this all started. The 2025 NFL Draft. The Browns trade up in the 5th round and select Shedeur Sanders. Now, a lot of people were shocked, not because he wasn't talented, but because the fall was historic. This was a kid who, by most projections, was a first-round quarterback. A guy who put up numbers at Colorado that made NFL scouts lean forward in their chairs. A guy who literally carried that program on his back for 2 straight seasons. And somehow, he fell all the way to the 5th round. The football world had opinions, loud ones. And the moment Cleveland took that call, the noise got even louder.
Is currently on. Now, Deshaun Sanders Jr. did go on Mr. Organic Podcast, Organically Speaking, and stated that the Browns is a cool organization, which is great, which is big coming from his brother, stating that, he know that people feel a certain type of way about the Browns, but they actually really good people. I'm not saying they're bad people. I've never once said they was bad people, but I feel like how they go about with Shedeur is looking bad to me. Now, with that being said, we know that there is big-time trades still to be coming to the NFL. Just like last year, the Browns is going into training camp with 4 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. Last year, they let Kenny Pickett go. He was the one on the chopping block. It's going to be very interesting to see which one they let go by the end of July this summer. Me personally, I feel like it's probably going to be Taylor Green. I feel like they can definitely get some out of him or get some for him. As for Dylan Gabriel, I don't know if they'll be able to get anything for Dylan. And we know when it comes to Shedeur, they'll be able to get a lot for Shedeur. And me personally, I don't think that they're going to trade Shedeur. But just like I stated, there was an article that had came out of the pipeline in regards to Shedeur time possibly being over in Cleveland, how it will be the worst case scenario for the Browns if they do so decide to trade Shedeur Sanders. It's being reported that a Shedeur Sanders trade will create.
Some people said it was destiny. Some people said it was disrespect. Some people said Shedeur needed to prove something. And honestly, all 3 of those things were probably true at the same time. Fast forward to late 2025. Kevin Stefanski is gone. The Browns are in a spiral. And then this rookie walks into a starting role in the final weeks of the season and does something nobody expected. He gives Cleveland life. Real life. Not just wins, but energy. Fans showing up. Social media buzzing. People actually caring about the Browns again for the first time in what felt like years. That spark was real. You don't manufacture that. You can't fake that kind of electricity. But here's where the story gets messy. Deshaun Watson, 30 years old, 2 torn Achilles, coming back. And the Cleveland Browns organization, for reasons that still don't fully make sense to a lot of people, decides to hand him the reins again and make Shedeur compete for a starting job. A 5th-round rookie going up against a 30-year-old veteran coming off catastrophic injury after catastrophic injury. And they call it an open competition. Open competition. Even the people on ESPN's Get Up couldn't keep a straight face talking about this situation. If you had to feed your family based on the likelihood of good quarterback play from Watson, that's not the fact pattern you'd be resting your case on. Those aren't the words of some random fan in a comment section. That's national television. That's analysts who get paid to evaluate this stuff professionally, saying out loud, on air, that this situation in Cleveland just doesn't add up. And it raises a fair question. What exactly is the plan here? Because if the Browns are in development mode, that word keeps coming up, development, then Shedeur needs to be on the field.
Case scenario for the Browns. Goes on to say, even if Deshaun Watson wins Cleveland Brown quarterback battle, trading Shedeur Sanders this summer makes no sense whatsoever. The Cleveland Browns will continue voluntary OTA workouts with Block 2 this week. Wednesday session will mark the media's next chance to provide fans a glimpse of the much-debated quarterback battle between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. So mark your calendars, expect Wednesday to be the day we get to get some more film, some more look at this battle. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to hear from Todd Monken. We're probably going to hear from maybe the quarterbacks. Last week, the quarterbacks was unable to talk. We didn't hear from them. Now, while there's only so much we could lean into, glorify passing in camps, in May, the Browns have a mandatory veteran mini camp scheduled for June 9th to the 11th. Having the full defense on the field, most notable Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, should kick things up a notch this upcoming offseason. Now, with that being said, we're going to scroll down here to the second part. It states a Shedeur Sanders trade will create a lose-lose situation for the Browns in 2026. Goes on to say there's not much upside to trading Shedeur Sanders this summer, especially with the Watson era in Cleveland almost certainly coming to an end by 27. Spending day 3 draft picks on developmental quarterbacks is typically smart NFL business, but as long as you'll be able to develop that player into a seeding asset that pays off for you, the team down the line. Now, there has been a growing notion with this whole development thing. Now, if y'all is in the development business, why come Shedeur ain't starting? Why?
You don't develop a quarterback by sitting him. You don't build his confidence, his processing speed, his command of an NFL offense by giving him practice reps and clipboard time on Sundays. That's not how this works. That's never been how this works. So either the Browns are serious about developing Shedeur Sanders, which means he needs to play, or they're not, in which case every single person asking hard questions about this situation is completely justified. Here's what makes this even more frustrating for Shedeur fans. And look, Shedeur's real fans know this. They're not mad at Cleveland just to be mad. They actually want him to succeed. They want him to get a fair shot. And right now, from the outside looking in, this doesn't look like a fair shot. This looks like a young man with genuine talent being asked to beat out a situation. Not just a player, but a whole sunk cost. A whole front office decision that nobody in that building wants to admit was a mistake. $230 million. That's what Deshaun Watson got. And now he's competing with a 5th-round rookie for the same job. And the rookie is winning film sessions. The rookie is impressing people at voluntary OTAs. The rookie's older brother goes on a podcast and quietly says Cleveland is a cool organization, good people. That's measured, that's careful. But what does it actually mean when the actions on the ground don't match the respect being paid publicly?
On the bench, if y'all in the developmental business, because last time I checked, you got to play some games to be development. So it don't look like the whole development thing is going to work for them this year, at least from what I see. You feel me? Now, I could be wrong, but from what I seen, I don't think they plan on developing Shedeur. I just have to be honest, man. Now, it goes on to say, to Wilcott's point, the timing of a potential trade this summer would be kind of brutal. Hypothetically speaking, he would have just lost the competition to a 30-year-old veteran coming back off an ACL injury. The Browns will likely struggle to get even a 5th or 6th round draft pick in return for Shedeur Sanders in that scenario. That can't be the kind of payoff the Browns were envisioning. when they traded up for Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round in 2025, if Watson wins the starting job this summer, Shedeur Sanders will provide significantly more value to Cleveland as the top backup. Shedeur Sanders' upside, coupled with cheap rookie scale contracts, make him an ideal pair for Watson, who is set to make, we all know, $46 million this season, man, which is still crazy to me. Now, the Browns could likely swap Gabriel for a late day 3 draft pick, which would keep Watson and Shedeur at the top with Green in the number 3 development role. Sanders has already passed Dylan Gabriel on the proverbial depth chart, and he makes less money than Gabriel, who was a top.
Now, there are trade rumors circulating, reports suggesting a Shedeur Sanders trade could happen this summer. And here's the thing that's actually worth paying attention to. The reporting isn't saying the Browns should trade him. The reporting is saying that trading him would be a disaster for the Browns themselves. That's the headline that matters. If Watson somehow wins this competition and then they turn around and deal Shedeur, what do they get back? Best case scenario, a 5th or 6th round pick. Worst case, nothing meaningful. And they'd be walking into 2027 with Watson almost certainly gone, no future starter on the roster, and the explanation that they had one and let him walk. This isn't just about Shedeur anymore. This is about Cleveland's future at the most important position in professional sports. And then there's Dylan Gabriel, another young quarterback the Browns invested in. The analysis coming out is saying if Cleveland trades any quarterback this summer, Gabriel makes the most logical business sense. He costs more on his contract, and by most accounts, Shedeur has already passed him on the depth chart. That's significant. That's a rookie who fell to the 5th round, walked into a complicated situation, and still managed to climb above a top 100 pick from the same draft class. That's not luck. That's talent pushing through noise. Now, if you've been following this channel and you love real sports storytelling, genuine analysis without the fluff, then hit subscribe right now, because this is the kind of content we bring every single time. Back to the story. What does Shedeur actually bring beyond the raw football? Because this matters too. He brings attention. He brings viewers. He brings that rare combination of pedigree, controversy, and genuine ability that makes casual fans tune in. The Browns have not had that energy around their quarterback position in a long time. Even before the games get played, people are watching. Cameras are pointed at Cleveland in ways they haven't been for years. That has value. Real, tangible, marketable value. You trade that away and you don't just lose a player, you lose the conversation. And conversations in the modern NFL are currency. The mandatory minicamp is coming in June, 9th through the 11th. That's when the pads go on. That's when the full defense, including Myles Garrett, including Denzel Ward, comes out and starts making life hard on every quarterback trying to prove themselves. That's when voluntary OTAs stop being a preview and the real audition begins. Whatever the Browns have seen so far in these early sessions, the next real evaluation happens in June, and the football world will be watching every single rep. So where does Shedeur Sanders stand right now? He's in a battle he probably shouldn't have to fight this hard to win. He's doing it anyway. He's in a building where some people believe in him deeply, and some people are emotionally invested in a different outcome for reasons that have nothing to do with what's best for the organization going forward. He's a 23-year-old kid with his father's last name on his back, which means the expectations were never going to be normal. They were always going to be either too high or weaponized against him. There was never going to be a neutral lane for Shedeur Sanders in professional football. But he keeps showing up. That matters more than people give it credit for. In a league where confidence is everything, where the moment a quarterback starts doubting himself, the whole thing falls apart, Shedeur Sanders has not flinched. Not publicly, not in the building from everything being reported. He came into Cleveland's quarterback room and immediately started competing. That's character. Not the kind of character you talk about in press conferences. The kind you demonstrate when the circumstances aren't in your favor and the noise is the loudest it's ever been. The Cleveland Browns are standing at a crossroads right now, and the road they're considering going down if these trade murmurs turn into actual conversations, leads somewhere very dark for this franchise. They would be trading away the thing that gave them life at the end of last season. They would be handing their future back to uncertainty when they had something real right in front of them. And they would be doing it in a way that is very difficult to explain to a fan base that has been patient, loyal, and at this point deserves some clarity. Trading Shedeur Sanders this summer wouldn't just be a football mistake. It would be a statement, and not a good one. The real story hasn't been written yet. June minicamp, training camp, preseason. The competition is still ongoing. But right now, in May, the narrative building around Cleveland is simple. Don't let this one get away. Because if they do, they won't just be talking about what Shedeur Sanders did somewhere else. They'll be explaining, for years, why they had the answer and chose not to use it. And Cleveland fans know that feeling better than anyone.